Her name is Sandy, and she's a Appaloosa mare, and she's 21 years old. Her name's Sugar, and she's 16.
I guess the thing I like most about riding is the relationship I have with my horse and all the fun that I have with my friends.
We've done 4-H, NWPRA, and we've tried Moxies, and she's a nice mare.
I like the jumping. You just jump right over and you get this big adrenaline rush and you
I like jumping.
get thrown for it, and I love it.
Probably the closest to flying I've ever felt.
I like to stay under control and know I have it. And I like to do mostly trail.
Normal trail riding, just nice and slow and easy.
Working together as a team with your horse.
The challenge, getting a good race in, and working with my horse.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I don't know how to explain it.
I like speed when I ride horses. I love to run. Speed?
Speed.
Speed.
I guess it's just the speed.
Well, I just like horses.
I think that a lot of people ride exactly for the same reason that I do. It's an unconditional bond between you and your horse.
That is the beauty of this sport, because it is the trust between the horse and the rider that is built up over years. There is no more of an incredible experience for me, more exhilarating than to know that that trust between horse and rider is there.
Whether a quiet ride through mountain forests or a competition of speed and agility, riding is a celebration of oneness with another creature, a trusting, a sharing of power, and a lending of strength and speed and risk.
We went out for a ride, and he started off fine.
Thunder started happening.
And the horse decided that it'd take a turn,
And I had my cinch too tight and she started bucking it.
and I wasn't ready for it.
And I was trying to stop her.
Horse reared up.
He started rearing for no reason.
He slipped.
And I kept going straight,
I slid right off his back.
And I hit the dust.
head first, right into the ground.
I landed on the ground on my head.
I went down and everything went black.
She hit her head on a rock.
She was knocked unconscious.
And she fell, and it killed her.
60% of all horse-related deaths involve head injuries. Fortunately, there's a simple way to minimize this risk.
I have been riding internationally for about 10 years now. And last year, warming up for the big fall 3-day back east, I and Sanskrit, the horse that I rode in the Olympic Games, had an outstanding round going. We were about 3/4 of the way around, went into the water well, then we had to take a sharp left. It was just with the shifting of my weight. The horse drifted a little bit to the right. I caught one leg on one tree, which swung me over head first into another tree. I was probably going about 20 miles an hour when I hit the tree head on. You know, it wasn't a fence that we all worry about. It was just something that, you know, happened. If I wasn't wearing this helmet, basically, I wouldn't be certainly in the condition I am in today. And it might very well be I wouldn't even be here today.
I was found unconscious in the arena, and I had probably been there for about 30 minutes before they found me. And the groom immediately called 911, and the rescue unit came and took me to the hospital, and I was unconscious for probably about 12 to 14 hours. I was in the hospital for 5 weeks, and when I was released, I had severe short-term memory loss. Because of the injury, I also lost coordination, and they had to reteach me how to walk again. When I first started to come back, I didn't even know that I rode. And my customers were, of course, panicked over that. It's like, geez, here our trainer doesn't even know he rides. Thinking back on the whole situation and the injury, I had been riding for 20-some years and training for about 10 years. And it's one of those things that, you know, you don't think it's going to happen to you. You know, you hear about it, but, you know, it's not going to happen to me. You think you're immune to it. And I'm living proof. It happened to me.
if you don't wear a helmet, you can get really hurt.
I wasn't real hot on that day at first, but I've gotten used to it. It's comfortable.
I feel really safe with my helmet on. It's almost like a blanket for me.
His hoof hit my helmet, so I was pretty happy I was wearing one.
It's like riding in a car without a seatbelt. You don't do it.
We almost lost my sister, so we've just always worn helmets ever since, because we just don't want to ever take that chance of having someone get hurt again.
I always ride in a helmet, every time, every ride, every horse, no matter how well I know them, no matter how quiet a ride I'm expected to have.
Rusty Nail, a true Western horseman. At 12, Rusty entered the Tevis Cup, winning the youngest rider award for this grueling 100-mile endurance race. He began training horses in his early teens.
And when he was about 18, 19 years old, he started training stock horses and then specialized in the cutting horse. I think his reputation was very good. He's a very well-known person. There was sometimes 5 horses in the barn, sometimes 21 horses in the barn. He'd ride probably 6 or 8 hours a day.
Rusty participated in most of the competitions on the West Coast, making semifinals in Fallon, Nevada, and top 3 riders in Ogden, Utah in the fall of '92. Just a week before his life was dramatically altered by his choice to wear a baseball cap when riding.
The horse went up with him, and we feel went over backwards with him, and he hit his head.
I was in home for about 3 months, but I was in the hospital longer than that.
A typical day for Rusty is very different now. He goes to Easter Seals to class and works very hard all day long as far as his therapies out there and the class work that he does as far as working on memory, cognition, problem solving. He's now in recovery and intends to recover to a point where he will be able to ride again, and he hopes to be able to train again, but we don't know that that will ever happen.
I didn't think it was important for me to wear a helmet then, but I do now.
Yeah, I think that Western horsemen feel like that it's not needed, it's not macho.
It's been tough just because I can't walk, I don't have my balance anymore. And I can't wait till I get better. But I haven't lost that hope yet. I still think that I'm gonna get better. I believe in my recovery, but I don't know.
Dr. Jane Summers, assistant clinical professor of medicine at the University of Colorado Health Sciences Center, had been practicing internal medicine for 6 years. Her involvement with horses began in junior high school and included trail riding, breeding, and showing.
And I just went out for a Sunday morning ride. We were just walking. And I remember turning the horse to the left, and that's when she went down on her knees, I was told. She reared. That's when I got knocked out on the ground, and I remained in a coma for 3 weeks. It was 3 years until I could shower standing up, and it was 4 years until I could talk without having to sit down, because I couldn't concentrate on my standing balance and what I was saying at the same time. It became a reality that I was impaired and I wouldn't be able to go back to medicine. And it's easy to get around a driver's license, but you can't get around treating patients.
Before her brain injury, Jane was an avid 4-season runner and described herself as the typical obsessive, compulsive physician.
Now I have the normal life of an 85-year-old woman. What most people don't realize is that the brain sitting in your head, in my head, is about the consistency of not quite set Jell-O. That's why it's so fragile and can be damaged so easily. I had all sorts of plans for the future, and they changed just in a moment of a split second because I was not wearing an SEI-approved riding helmet.
The Safety Equipment Institute, or SEI, certifies riding helmet models which meet the current American Society for Testing and Materials F1163 standard for equestrian headgear. ETL Laboratories is part of the Inchcape Testing Services, the second largest testing and certification network in the world.
A helmet absorbs energy by crushing. As it's doing that, it slows down the process of stopping so that everything has time to come to a stop at the same rate. If you're falling unprotected and your head hits the ground, your head will stop so quick that the brain can collide with the inside of the skull, and that can cause brain damage, bruising, breaking of blood vessels in the brain.
To receive SEI certification, helmet models must meet stringent requirements of ASTM F1163. 300 Gs is the internationally accepted threshold for serious brain injury, so in each of 4 impacts, the helmet must not allow more than 300 Gs to pass through it.
Even a fall from only 3 feet, if unprotected, can result in acceleration of over 300 Gs. On top of a horse, the rider's head is at least 6 feet above the ground. If your helmet sustains any impact or you have a fall while you're wearing a helmet, you should return the helmet to the manufacturer for inspection. The helmet may have been damaged, but as this one shows, that damage may not have been visible.
Hunt caps, older helmets, and items of apparel are not SEI approved. They are not designed to absorb energy, and they are obviously inadequate protection for your head.
I would be back practicing medicine probably in a short period of time after my accident if I had been wearing an SEI-approved helmet.
Polly liked everything. There was babysitting, there was sign language, and a couple different events like bowling, ice skating, roller skating, and horseback riding. So they were always kind of a fantasy to ride this beautiful creature. When the accident happened, they were on the main road going in, so it was flat road. It was just a flat, hard road, dirt road, and they were coming back from their end of their ride, and they were less than 70 yards from the end, and her horse took off in a full dead run. And Polly couldn't hold on. She tried to hold on, and she couldn't. She kind of bounced off the back and landed right on her head on the trail. And she never regained consciousness. The loss that we have is so incredible that just by simply applying a helmet and wearing it could save a life and would save somebody from going through what we're going through. It's an everyday hole. It's a black hole, just an empty void that we will live with every day.
Shauna took up the love of horses like I did because I loved horses. She loved riding. I mean, her love of life were horses, you know. Shauna was riding since she was about 6 years old. She was 14. She's been on all different kinds of horses. She's been on young horses, old horses, small horses, big horses. She's been on draft horses. Silver was an 8-year-old registered Arab, but he was very gentle. She couldn't wait to get home from school to ride her horse, and she'd be out there grooming him and talking to him, and she'd call his name, you know, Silver, and he'd come whinnying and running up to the fence to her, you know, and you could see just in the short time that they were together, they had a bond. The neighbor was riding her horse, and Shauna was riding Silver in our field, right in our field. I mean, it was our field, at our house. I mean, she wasn't going down the road or anything. She was in a hay field. One minute she was looking at Shauna and she was running around the field, and the next minute Nicole looked over and Shauna was down. I never bought the horse thinking that Shauna would die from a fall, and I never ever entered my mind that Shauna would get killed on a horse. It never entered my mind to have a helmet on, and I would say to anybody to wear a helmet, because if I had to do over, I would do it. And it's not, you know, and now it's too late for me. You know, I can't have, my daughter's gone.
Sunset was, she just finished her 7th grade year at a junior high. She'd been very active in 4-H, and she had a lot of opportunities coming up in 4-H. She loved her horse. She would, she'd give up anything for her horse. It was a beautiful sunny day, and they were doing things that they had done before, and they were just having fun. They were out here giggling and laughing and taking turns. I heard this very loud crack.
I landed on my head.
Apparently, the horse bucked and decided to turn at the same time. And when she came off head first. There was the loud crack that I heard was her head hitting the ground.
I was wearing a helmet because we always wore a helmet. It was just something that we always did. You know, I wasn't even wearing jeans, but I grabbed the helmet on the way out of the barn. My mom said girls wear helmets, so we wore the helmets.
She's 16 years old now. She's considering veterinary science in college. Things that one slip off of a horse that spring afternoon could have ended all of that. Before the horse comes the helmet. I have my daughter here today, a beautiful young lady, and that could have been changed entirely because of her accident if she had not had her helmet on. Every time, every ride, wear an SEI helmet.
There's no doubt about it. SEI helmets work. After the United States Pony Club made ASTM SEI headgear mandatory, they experienced a dramatic reduction in the number and severity of brain injuries.
You can have a severe brain injury even if you're at a standstill or even if the horse is just walking. The force of just falling off the horse is enough to cause a severe brain injury.
Many of the injuries that we see are just in the rider's own backyard. The horse could spook for any reason.
At first, the person may be unconscious or in a coma, and then they may never wake up from that. When they wake up, they may have symptoms like head injury or blurry vision, trouble with balance or coordination, trouble with their memory is very common, difficulties with speaking, walking, balancing, or for instance climbing or riding a bicycle will be very difficult.
To date, the ASTM SEI approved headgear is the best helmet available that an equestrian can purchase and wear. The key is wear.
Well, unfortunately, my experience with head injury is not just as a doctor, but also as a family member of a head injury victim. My sister Laura fell off her horse and sustained a severe head injury and died about a week later. Now, unfortunately, Laura wasn't wearing a helmet when she fell off. Now, Laura was an expert rider. She'd been riding for over 20 years. She rode dressage, and when we found her, she was 15 feet from the barn. And so we really think that her fall was probably from a standstill or at most while walking. And I think this just goes to highlight that you don't have to be galloping or jumping to have a severe head injury. It can occur, even while you're standing still. And certainly it can happen any time. I know certainly Laura never expected it. And it just goes to emphasize you have to wear your helmet all the time.
Thankfully, current ASTM SEI certified helmets are designed for comfort and practicality. With removable liners, air vents for ventilation, fitting pads, or even an air pump liner to ensure a perfect fit every time. ASTM SEI hats come in a variety of styles. Some weigh less than 11 ounces, and colorful covers add individuality. The jaw strap should be securely fastened so that it touches the skin. ASTM SEI approved headgear should fit snugly but comfortably, so it cannot be rocked out of position forward, backward, or side to side. The skin or eyebrows should move when the helmet is rocked from front to back, and the helmet should sit level from front to back. Choose the SEI-approved helmet which best fits your riding style. Fit it properly and wear it every time, every ride.
You can't be 100% sure that your horse is going to be safe, and they can even stumble like we stumble and you can go off. No horse is 100% bomb-proof.
It's when the quickness of that horse comes along that's where we get caught.
I think that if I had been wearing a helmet, that I would have probably just fallen and been fine, gotten back up and got back on the horse and finished my work.
If I do it all over again, I'd wear a helmet.
I assumed everything would be all right. And that's one thing as far as horseback riding that I've learned now that you can't assume.
My kids are my life, and my life has been severed, when Shauna died.
And it makes me just really, really grateful that we had someone to tell us that the helmets were important. And I wish all these other people had someone to do that for them.
I would tell every rider that every time you get on a horse, let's be safe, not sorry, and make sure that you have your ASTM helmet on when you get on.
Your head's the only one you've got. Foolish not to protect it. Oh. Right, Rex?
To order your home version of Every Time, Every Ride, call 253-455-4570. This video is a must-see for anyone who rides horses. Order your copy today for just $15. Call 253-455-4570.